December 24th, 2016, Christmas Eve. I thought a good talk for today could be about apocalypse, what it actually means. I'm on Wikipedia here again, and it has roots in Greek wording again, just like planets and stars. The planet means wandering star, and I'm wondering how many other truths that are just completely hidden in plain sight with Greek definitions for things. If people were to look at the words they use and, oh, that's what it really means, and this is one of those events. But apocalypse, it literally means an uncovering. It's a disclosure of knowledge or revelation. In religious context, it is usually a disclosure of something hidden. Quote, a vision of heavenly secrets that can make sense of earthly realities. So heavenly secrets making sense of earthly realities. And that is exactly what has happened with me. It was an apocalyptic insight. The heavenly bodies, meaning the stars, making sense of the earthly realities, meaning the earth itself, literally being an ancient star. It was an apocalyptic thing. My whole world came to an end. Everything that I knew to be real came crashing down inside my brain. And it's been a great struggle for many years now, since September 3rd, 2011, and dealing with this apocalyptic scenario. And I guess I just have to go ahead and plow through it and see what else is out there. And hopefully other people have this kind of revelation too when it makes sense to them. In as clear a light as possible without any additional stuff. Just as simple as it can be. The stars cool and die and become what are called planets. They were never mutually exclusive. Everything else, you can just leave that. And just as long as you have that basic understanding when you look up at the night sky, that's all you need for this theory to make sense. But basically it means it's the ultimate victory of good over evil in the book of Revelations. But these days it's commonly referred to as any prophetic revelation or any end time scenario or end of the world in general. When people think it's going to be an apocalypse, the original meaning of it had nothing to do with, destruction and death and, atomic bombs going off and people blowing themselves up and just complete fucking chaos. Apocalypse just means an unveiling. Like, you go to school and your teacher gives you the grades on your test after not knowing what your grade was. It's an apocalyptic scenario. Hopefully you did good on your test, but it's just an unveiling of what the grade actually was for your test. Or if you're going out to eat and you get the check, it's an unveiling of how much damage the check was. It's an apocalypse. Hopefully you didn't spend too much money going out to eat, but it's funny because it's funny that goes hand in hand with people thinking it's the end. It's a really bad thing because it's trepidation, it's anxiety, it's oh no, but many times, more often than not, it's actually a good thing. An apocalypse is the triumph of good over evil. It's something that you want to happen. Apocalyptic scenarios are actually healthy for growth of a person and for growth of a civilization. The most recent apocalyptic scenario was that Trump got elected president. Obviously, a lot of corruption got exposed for what it was, and it was apocalyptic. So it was the end of an old era and it's the beginning of a new one, regardless of whether or not you supported him or not. It's a apocalyptic scenario. But there's that. And for the sake of this talk, something that really stuck out to me, I guess it's the second half of this talk, is propaganda and how a lot of ideas are spread through the internet, through TV, and the like. And I thought propaganda, and I thought, well, Joseph Goebbels, you know, the Nazi propagandist that helped basically the Nazi party come into power and to control people's minds, and, you know, really smart guy, but very, very bad person, obviously. It says here, I pulled up a quote: "The most brilliant propagandist technique will yield no success unless one fundamental principle is borne in mind constantly. It must confine itself to a few points and repeat them over and over." And then I related that to stellar metamorphosis. And then I also related it to the propaganda inside of establishment science with the way they view stars. The main idea is that stars are fusion reactors, and it's because they're big and heavy and they shine, so they have to be fusion reactors. And then the small rocky worlds are planets, or gaseous ones that don't shine. Those are something else completely different. And see, they don't have enough mass to make fusion, so they can't be fusion reactors, therefore they're not stars. And you repeat those things over and over and over and over and over and over and over again to these children that go through schools. And then they repeat those same things to their children, and their children repeat the same things to their children. Before you know it, we're building fusion reactors that have never worked. And they will never work because they don't know what they're talking about. But that's exactly what's happening there. We're living in a world of so widely believed lies that when somebody tells the truth, they get pushed down and called crank or crackpot or pseudoscientist or whatnot. When you actually tell people, you know, something that's truthful, that actually makes sense, the people who have been lied to so much, they throw a fit. They get really, really angry, as if you know, you're trying to upset them, but really you're not being an angry person or a nasty person to them. You're just telling them what's going on, what the truth really is, that, you know, they've been lied to. Which also reminds me of another saying. I think Mark Twain said it. He said, "It's easy to fool somebody. It's a lot harder to convince them they have been fooled." And that's essentially what's happening right now, is that I'm trying to tell people, these academics and people online and on the internet around the world, that they've been fooled by these academics that teach this, the stars and planets are something completely separate from each other. And they're not. But naturally, it's going to make a lot of people upset knowing that. Anyways, I think I made this talk long enough. Hopefully people can take it for what it's worth. Apocalypse has been skewed, and just like the word planet and star have been skewed, apocalypse is actually a good thing. And planets and stars are not mutually exclusive. They're both wandering stars. They're never different. Alright, y'all, take it easy.